As mentors on a dating series, what made you say yes to this project? Are you mentors in your personal life to friends? How did you come about to become involved with the one?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, just organically, I'm kind of like, I've always been kind of the mentor, the counselor within my friend group. And I love to help women. And so for me, it was just something that was just naturally happening. And then this guy right here loves to put people together.
Okay, okay. Checks notes. I like to hear that. So, bringing people together, discussing relationships, what is different about relationships in 2023 than perhaps when you two started dating or came together?
Oh, just the different ideals and the different constructs. There's much more fluidity. There's much more of a passiveness. Because when Tam and I first started, it was very much that the traditional ideals led the narrative of what relationships were, especially if you were raised in church. If you were raised in church, it was almost a sin for a woman to not be married with kids by the time she was 30.
Yeah.
Like the older women would look at you like you broken or something's wrong with you. And I think that type of social pressure was sometimes often problematic for what was deemed as people's identity. Is because I think that there can be an idolization within Western culture of relationships. Just like there could be an idolization of faith. That people make certain things a god to them. That it becomes the sum total of who you should be and what you should be. And so I believe that that's the biggest difference. I think that there's much more fluidity now, that people are kind of coming up with their own ideas of what relationships can be. And that's going to be argued based on whatever your moral foundations are, whatever you subscribe to as a person of faith. And so that is a huge difference that I begin to see, where more people don't necessarily seem to see the end result in marriage. Some people are more comfortable living with each other, trying different things. And so those are the realities that a lot of people, they execute relationships from than when we first started. Because I mean, 25 years ago, if you were living with someone, you almost, they were they were going to hang you by your toes in the front yard, the next morning, where these things are very much kind of part of the normal, just the normal aesthetic of our culture right now.
Amazing. Very good point. So, in this series, The One, what was special about bringing together and acting as mentor to these particular participants? And did you guys find that you had any favorites?
I mean, you can't help but, tend to lean towards someone that you think is going to be a good fit for someone else. I think for me, personally, what sparked my curiosity is being able to come alongside and mentor and coach, a guy as well as a girl go through this process and their hopes of finding, the one. And that's what made it, I love helping people. And so that's what made it, you know, just curious for me and wanting to help me make my say yes, help me with my saying my yes.
So, what I found interesting in episode one, you were kind of guiding our bachelor and bachelorette through their principles. And one of the things, Kirk, that you emphasized that I think sometimes we tend to overlook or downplay was attraction to your mate. And I thought that was interesting because often that gets pushed off as only superficial. And while it shouldn't be the highlight, it certainly helps things. So, why did you think it was important to include that as one of your top five?
If one of Tammy's eyeballs was bigger than the other, and she had her front tooth that kind of was long and hung over her bottom lip, she would not be sitting here with me. Do you see how good looking I am? Do you think that would even? Yes.
They're beautiful together and complement each other. Is that what you're saying?
Attraction matters. And when we downplay this as a false humility, that we set ourselves up for failure. Attraction matters. when you first meet somebody, you don't know if they can memorize the book of Leviticus. That ain't what you're looking at. You're looking to see if you're attracted to him. And I think that we just do ourselves a disservice when there's not a truth. When it comes to, as humans, there's got to be a physical attraction. And from there, whatever the next stages and spaces are, we just have to be honest about that fundamental truth. And in 2023, no one is doing anyone a service, but really more of a disservice when we don't really acknowledge the wiring of our species, that's who we are. That's what we are. We are physical beings that have physical attractions to one another.
So you two have been together for 25 years. What did you learn about relationships through this experience?
Well, it's been 27.
27. Okay.
Yeah. And and what we continue to learn is that what I continue to learn is that these ideals of perfection, that they must be deconstructed. Yeah. That I think that we're setting up people for failure when we keep painting these romanticized, because we live in the era where some of the biggest movies like Pretty Woman and all of these Cinderella type stories, and especially, no disrespect, especially for women, there's such a romanticized image of, oh, he's going to be this, and
we get that. I mean, from birth, from little girls' toys to, we're almost weird to have it in a fantasized, meet my prince, meet the perfect guy, and now social media, adds to all of that. And so, like he's saying, the realization of the fantasy world has got to be debunked. This relationships is real life, and if you stay in fantasy, you will not be successful in a relationship at all.
Very true. So, Kirk, you have a new single coming out. Can we talk a little bit about that in the Exodus conference? Like, everything is coming together at a perfect time. This show, the single. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, man, it's been 4 years. And first, and even you talk about relationships, shout out to Tammy Franklin, because I would not be able to do what I do without, her support, her encouragement. So, I always appreciate her cheering and sacrificing. I sleep at the studio sometimes, and I come home, I ain't brush my teeth, so I got bad breath, and she'll still hug me. And but yeah, man, we got a new song out after 4 years. It's called a song called All Things. And I'm really, really grateful for it, and just really excited about people getting a chance to hear it and watching the video. And I love doing music, and I love telling people about how dope God is. And so every platform that I get to get excited to do it. Just like even this music festival that I was able to curate a couple of years ago with my partners, and it was shut down for a couple of years because of COVID. But now it's back bigger than ever. The lineup is bananas. All the biggest names in gospel music are going to be there 2-day event here in Irving, Texas.
Tease us with a name or two. I mean, you can't just.
Yeah. You got Tamala Mann, you got Tasha Cobbs Leonard, you got Yolanda Adams, Kiera Sheard, you got Doe, you got Chandler Moore, you got Naomi Raines, you got your boy, Pastor Mike, you got man, it's just 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 the list goes on and on and on. It's going to be bananas. Natalie Grant, it's going to be a fiery weekend.
So 4 years off from music, a couple of years off from the festival too. When you're gearing back up to reintroduce your craft to the masses, what's on your mind? Like, was there a certain theme or a certain emotion that you wanted to celebrate this time around? What was your inspiration this time?
This has been a really hard, heavy year for me. A lot of personal mountains, a lot of losses, a lot of valleys, a lot of things that have just been different than I've ever experienced. And so for me, it was just very important for me to leave everything on paper. Just every raw emotion that I'm feeling, I'm just putting it in the songs. And there's plenty to go around.
Amazing. So bringing it back to love and the one, if there was one piece of advice you both could give to your younger self when you were starting off in your relationship, what would it be?
Ooh, my younger self starting off in my relationship. Is that the
It
question?
could be in your relationship with Kirk or just on your journey as a young woman coming into relationship status.
Um, I would say that make sure that in growing your family that you don't forget about yourself. Your dreams, your goals, your hopes, your desires. Oftentimes as women, we naturally put our families first and forget about ourselves. And then you wake up one day, and I'm speaking from experience, where you have not developed that muscle. And so it's like, and I'm hearing so many women talk about it. And so I know that it's not just, personal to me, but I think that's one of the things we could really, really help younger women is that, and some of the things I admire about some of the younger generation that I see that they they could do both. Where, my generation, and we may have been the last of that generation, that wasn't the way that we were raised. That wasn't the messaging for women that was given.